friends, welcome back to the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we take the movies we love, break them apart to find out what gives them their magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my friend, and who at least 6 days ago was my friend and co-host, Carmelita Valdez McKoy. Welcome back.
Hi, friend.
I don't know what she is now. I don't know. I can't keep track anymore. The 6 days, the bell hath tolled. And something's off. I don't know. Speaking of something's off, we're talking today about, forgive me, French people, the Vourdalak. The Vourdalak. It's a word. The Vourdalak is what I will be calling it. Started making kind of festival circuit last year, but this just came out for all of us here, 2024 in the States. So it's a brand new movie. It's a movie about a French fancy boy who finds himself lost in the woods, goes to seek help from this strange family in the woods, and evil befalls them, right? It's a period piece. Carmelita. Tell the people they should go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. The best way to support the show. See,
Yeah.
they thought they were not getting business, and I fucking duped them. They got the business still. It means the world to us this month, every month, but really this month with all the work we do. To see that support over on patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. Best way to support the show. Also, the only way to get all the episodes in the October Mega Marathon. Our patrons are voting on some movies. We have a feature-length commentary on House. We would love to see you guys over there. Also, go to misfitparade.net to check out the movies we're making. Our short film, Sugar Tits, is out on festivals and will be available online before you know it. So go check that out, please. All right, Carmelita. When I called you back, I said, hey, I think I've got 2 more slots. Can you help me out? You picked Long Legs, right? Hope you enjoyed our episode on Long Legs. That was a really fun one. You really helped me. You gave me some movie therapy for Long Legs, which was nice. Why the Vourdalak?
So this movie, it's like it came out of nowhere on my, like it wasn't on my radar. I had
never even fucking heard of this movie.
And a couple of my podcasting friends who like gothic horror, folk horror, had posted about it, and I was intrigued.
Right.
So I tracked it down, and I fell in love with this movie. First watch, just like, wow, I'm going to really enjoy throwing this into the rotation when I'm in the mood for a dark fairy tale, when I'm in the mood for folk horror, when I'm in the mood for something kind of dreamy and artsy. The Vourdalak checks all those boxes.
Yeah, it took me a minute to kind of settle in. I'm not a big period piece guy all the time, especially this period of like European stuff. Not my jam per se, right? Love the like Bram Stoker-ness and all that.
Yeah.
But there was something about this. I was like, all right. It's kind of like a French weenie. Just like, man, life's hard. I wear a powdered wig. And you're like, all right. All right. There's a guy who's fighting Turkish people. All right. All right. There was a moment where I was like, oh, now I'm kind of getting hooked, right? When they're in the woods and they're like, Svetlanka or whatever her name. Stinka. Yeah. Sadinka. She dishonored the family. She was hooring around, whatever. My ears perked up. I'm like, all right, I'm interested in that. Right. And this lady's like ripping this fucking animal apart. And you're like, all right, this is kind of intense. There's some extra shit going on here. Fine. But he seems like this little fucking weenie. And then he goes out in the woods and he's like, oh, here's a flower. I love you. Blah. And she's like, hey, chill, man. Not into
Back
it, right?
off.
Her little belly dancing charms are jingle jangling. And she's like, fuck off, dude. Well, then he stands up and he grabs her and he's like, why do you fucking torment me, you little peasant? And I was like, oh. I was like, that rich boy shit. He kind of showed his fangs. And I thought that moment was a nice little, reminder of the monster inside all of us, right? And then I was like, okay, I see a little more where this is going, right? But yeah, I think, if I'm being 100% honest,
Please.
like this movie. Don't think it's a great movie, but it's pretty good. This movie will be remembered for one thing and one thing only.
Tell me.
What do you make of the Vourdalak being that puppet.
I love it.
Okay, because see, I was kind of torn. There were scenes I like it, and then there's like scenes where it's trying to wipe the potatoes off its face that it clearly cannot articulate enough to do, and you're like, oh, okay. The voice is good. I guess Adrian Bowe,
Yeah, the director.
writer-director, is the voice of Gorcha, right? So essentially, Gorcha is a man who went off to look for help to fight these Turkish people, right, that are raiding the village. They have this one, I think it's like Albiak is like their enemy. And he says, if I'm not back by the 6th day, burn the memory of me, because I will be nothing but a Vourdalak, a curse upon the family.
Don't let me in.
Do not. This vampiric curse, right? So he shows up, and he's like laying on the ground like, "Urgh!" And they're like, hey, man, the bell rang. This is not good. And, of course, the son, Jagor, he, like, pulls him up. He's like, it's just our dad. He's sick. And the dad, like, clearly is a skeleton puppet. And I was like,
Yes.
Okay. Like that, I'll say this. It took me some time to adjust.
Acclimate?
It really fucking threw me for a loop because I didn't watch a trailer. I hadn't seen the poster. I was just like, all right, French fancy boy. We're doing like a half a vampire movie. Cool. When he's that puppet, and it's this moment where Jagor's like, well, it's my dad. It's my dad. He's just sick. And they're like, no, it's not. There is an absurdity and weirdness with the puppet.
Yes.
That so fucking gobsmacked me. It took me quite a while to like reset into what the movie's doing. So walk me through this moment, this reveal.
That's what I love about it, is that it's so odd.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
the obvious choice is just go get a skinny, like whatever the meth version of a Frenchman is. Do that. Right? Like,
right.
Get that guy. That is the move.
Get the French version of Doug Jones.
Yeah, get like whoever's Bill Skarsgård without the abs, right? Like a minus 20-pound Bill Skarsgård, but French. That's what everyone making this movie would do that. Or get a really frail old man. And they just said puppet.
Yes. It's and the way it moves is off. Inhuman.
It's like 100% clearly. It's not like a lifelike puppet.
No.
Like it is clearly a doll.
It moves like a marionette.
And the mouth doesn't move well. Like it's fucking strange.
This is what I love about it.
Alluring. Okay.
And I think it works thematically really well because, yes, the eldest son, Yegor, who idolizes the father and is poised to take his father's place.
Yeah.
And who has kind of made his whole life to be just like his father, refuses to accept that his father is a Vourdalak, a monster, a vampire that is going. The thing about the Vourdalak is that it specifically murders. It kills, it feeds off of its own family.
Yeah, the people it loves and has closest relationship to are its taste. Yes. I thought that was a beautiful addition to the storytelling.
Yeah. And so we're looking at this skeletal marionette going like, no, that's not your dad.
Yeah. Sir, come on. Sir.
And he refuses to accept it. And you see how because
the rest of the family's just like, dude, that ain't grandpa.
Yes. Yes.
Like
everyone else in the family, other people in the family who you get the sense have been bullied by the father.
Yes.
Who don't live up to the father's expectations, who have let the family down.
The hard man who just beats everything into submission is not their favorite guy. Like,
no.
There's a lot of subtext in that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they clock like, like that's not.
Yeah.
We need to not let him in.
They've always seen him as monstrous, so it's not a big leap for them. Whereas for Jagor it is. And he killed Albiak or whatever. He solved the problem. He brings the severed head. I do think one of the things this movie does exceptionally well is there is just this constant underbelly of this kind of shared past, right? And that past seeming to be a little more violent to some than others, right? There is this unspoken constantly, every character, there's like something unspoken and not good, right? Like Piotr or Peter, whatever, fucking Piotr. Like when he comes out with the fucking steak, he's dressed like Pan, right? Like this kind of sprite-like figure. The French guy mistakes him for a woman at the start, right? You're like, all right, not hard to see where that would not fit in with, Yegor and the father's plan, right? Zdenka had an affair with a vagabond. She's running around, whoring around. By the way, something that really bothered me, I don't know if you saw this. Something was wrong with her nipples the whole movie.
What?
This is weirdly specific, but if you go back and watch it, I was like, did she have pierced nipples?
No,
there's like two nipples.
It's the gown.
It's the gown. Okay, it was driving me nuts. Because I was like, is this like a Knight's Tale? Is this an anachronism?
No, it's the gown. So the gown she's wearing has those princess seams.
How did I not remember the Okay, not to be crude and rude, but I was watching the movie and I kept tapping my wife and I was like, she's got her fucking nipples pierced. I was like, this is ancient France. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I was Googling if they had nipple piercings in ancient France.
I used to buy vintage clothing.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have like very stiff fabric, when they used to make fabrics that had no stretch.
It makes the points, yeah.
And then they would put the seams in for the bust.
You get a geometric corner, yeah.
And you end up with these little like nipple spikes.
Well, now I wish that I hadn't been so distracted for the entire movie, Googling French nipple piercings. Neither here nor there. Princess seams, guys. If you had the same question as me, it's princess seams.
I think they're called princess seams. I could be wrong, but
it's closer than what I was thinking.
Right.
But yeah, so she's got a thing, right? Yegor's wife, who doesn't seem to have her opinion valued, right? She's like, I don't want Svenka in the house, but she has to live here. She's kind of living under the rule and raising this kid on her own. The only one that likes Grandpa is the little boy who's still not seeing the world very clearly. So he laughs at this monster. And he's like, Grandpa, you're funny. And he's like, you're our greatest resource. And puts his face in potato. And I was like, what a fucking strain. But this whole scene lasts forever, right?
Yeah.
He makes Piotr shoot the dog because the dog's barking at him and knows. That scene, again, I think me and you have talked about this on the pod.
Yes.
The new horror movie obsession with killing a dog in the first act.
I know.
I fucking hate it. There's no fucking way Piotr would go kill that dog. Also, I'm like, is that how far we have to go? You can't like go tie him to a tree on the other side of the house? Like you got to fucking kill the dog? But this one, at least, there is a narrative addition by showing us how fast he concedes to his father's wish.
How much control
immediately.
The head of the family has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just a fucking brutal dinner scene, right? Like, and it's there's so much going on around the looks of the table. To your point, right? The Marquis de fucking Wimp, whatever his name.
His name is Marquis Jacques Antoine Saturnin de Urfa.
Good Lord. Yeah, I'll never remember that.
The Marquis. We'll call him the Marquis.
The Marquis de Wuss, right? He's just sitting there like, what the fuck? But again, he doesn't flee because he can. He doesn't have a horse. He just kind of, well, this is, these strange people's custom. So I thought that scene, right? And you have to get through, I think that opening is not particularly strong or engaging, right? From the moment Gorcha shows up, the movie does become this it reminded me of almost like there was this movie. I used to watch this show when I was a kid. I can't remember what it was called, but it was kind of like Dark Fables, and it had Muppets in it. And I can't remember what it was, but it reminded me of one of those, right? Like kind of this fairy tale retelling with a Muppet in it.
Yeah.
In that, the movie gets really fucking good once Gorcha shows up. If you can survive, and again, I do say survive, I think a lot of people are going to immediately tune out.
Not everybody
on this opening
is going to be feeling the beginning.
No. And I think you'll lose people with the Muppet too.
A woman dancing alone in the forest.
Yeah.
And she looks ethereal. It looks like the beginning looks like it could be a music video for like Dead Can Dance or Cocteau Twins.
Ozempic.
I'm into. So I was hooked from the gate because this already has the aesthetic that I love. This
nasal
kind of
flow.
witchy, ethereal. We're doing something spooky in the forest.
Yeah, our medicine advertising is just It's either a medical advertisement or a witch music video.
Yes.
You decide. They share a lot of a Venn diagram.
Yeah. But not everyone's going to get hooked.
If you survive, there is awesome shit in the second part of this movie.
Yeah.
It gets really fucking good. What did you make of the slow decay of this family, right? Because the scene where the little boy's the first, and it's brutal, right? We watch the grandpa fucking chew on him. They kind of go to this almost like black set, right? So it feels otherworldly. The Vourdalak apparently has fucking Jedi mind powers and just throws the Marquis de Wimp across the forest.
Oh my God, I love it. I love the Marquis he tries to stand up.
Well, he's got his little sword.
And protect this young boy. He really did try.
He did. He rushed out there.
But he's just not up to the task.
He's not up to the task.
And yes, the Vourdalak seems to have
like a lot of power.
Has power. Which,
to your point,
supernatural
the visual,
creature.
Right, but even the visual of this outsized patriarch who has this inordinate fucking control and fear and is this monster to his family. Yeah, it's a very nice parallel that the Vourdalak story is running here.
Yeah.
It's cool. But it's fucking brutal, man, because we see, like, then when the kid calls the mom out, and he's just like, because he's all tied up at this point. They're, like, whipping his ass. He's like, that's not your fucking son. And she's like, do you think that all the demons in hell could keep me away from embracing my son for even a second? And you're like, it's so fucking gut-wrenching because you see that mom say, I would rather live as a thing with him than in a world without him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they do that scene where they're doing the ritual where they're going to fucking murder this kid and stake him. And it gets disrupted, right? And you can tell they don't really want to, right? They do that scene where she's, like, cracking bloody eggs and shit. And he starts throwing things up. And again, it's interrupted, right? But you see, like, no one really wants to protect this kid, nor do they want to inter him.
Yeah.
Because that means living in a world without him, right? So I think this movie makes interesting choices constantly. And I do think there's a more streamlined, meaner version of this movie somewhere. But again, it's kind of like walking through this waking nightmare often.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the moments when it hits where you're just like, fucking imagine. Right? It reminded me of that kid in Salem's Lot, like the fucking horrifying visage of this innocent little kid who is your best friend now banging on your window.
Yes.
Those moments in this are so effective and so sell this like decay of the family. And to your point, the Vourdalak starting with the kid, the most innocent, the like unfulfilled promise of a better day for this family. That shit's brutal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the not dread. Really brutal in like a horror movie, like violence sense. It's that loss of fucking hope, man. Despair drips from every frame of this movie.
And we know because of what's been told to us about the lore of the Vourdalak, we know that it's going to kill this entire family. They're all going to be turned. You know that's
even villages. Like this thing just spreads and spreads.
That's a foregone conclusion. And it's that dread as you're watching it and the Marquis who can do nothing about it. And he's just stuck watching this family.
Right, because this one's different. They say the rules of the Vourdalak, right? You have to burn it down in its own house.
Mm-hmm.
You have to immobilize it, right, with stakes essentially. Or have a holy man with holy water, which they're in the middle of nowhere. No help is coming.
Yeah, there's no holy nobody.
Yeah, there's no fucking help coming. So he watches as, and again, he has this, he was raised very prim and proper. He's not going to get in the mud with these people. At night, he kind of does it, right? Under the cover of dark, he stands his ground more. But again, his fucking, like, his courtliness, he's not going to call out their fucking horse shit very much.
No.
And the first time he does, he gets fucking rocked by, Yegor and fucking hung up in the barn. It's fucking, and again, it is this slow moving, inevitable destruction.
Yeah.
And it's hard to watch, man. It was hard to watch Pyotr get fucking shot by his grandpa.
My God. That scene is so amazing.
Oh, it's so good because you see Yegor's like fucking upset about it. But he can't fight back against the father, so he just starts beating the shit out of the Marquis.
Yeah, he'd rather blame this outsider.
Well, because he's like, everything was fine until you showed up. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, I was here for 6 days and things were fine. And then Grandpa showed up, right? But like, he can't fucking see that.
Mhm.
And I think that this family dynamic of things unsaid that are left to fester, very effective.
Yeah, really well done. Really
Yep.
well done. Yeah, I love when Gorcha, now a Vourdalak, commands that his daughter and the Marquis dance.
Oh, yeah.
And they do their little dance, their little courtly dance, and it starts out looking like one of those dances that they would do in a palace,
Because
very
they had
like
done that in the woods,
choreographed.
right? He's like, I miss
Yeah.
dance. She's like, don't do that. And then he spies on her and sees her practicing it. So it's like a meet cutie kind of thing.
Yeah. And I love how kind of as it goes on and she's really upset about everything that's happened, that she starts to do this kind of more interpretive dance.
Yeah, she's just like, I'll take it from here.
It's like her little rebellions.
Okay, let me ask you this, though.
You told me to dance, but I'm going to dance my own way.
Because she looks almost pained. Because
Yeah.
I would say it's a more erotic dance for
Yes.
the time, maybe, right? Like,
Right.
it feels like her body's being twisted and contorted in a not euphoric way.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it felt like in that moment he was controlling her and trying to remind her of her
Ooh.
whorish nature
Maybe.
and bending her to his will. Because at the end, she kind of falls back and she seems like, like
yeah, she does.
not stoked exactly for what's
It could
happening.
be.
So there's
The-
some part of that I was like,
The next time I watch it, I'm going to be watching that really closely.
yeah, it felt like he was like, again, like, dance with him. This is what you want, and then I will corrupt that and ruin it so that he will
Yeah.
see you in this
Perhaps.
less than way.
Perhaps.
Because there's also something about this movie as you start thinking about the timeline of the Vourdalak and how this is going. He's not just on a feeding frenzy.
No.
There is a real psychological warfare element happening in this household, too, that I think adds a level of depravity to it in a way.
Mhm. Yeah, the Vourdalak doesn't show up and just murder everybody all at once.
Yeah.
One by
So-
one, they're taken.
Yes. And like the kid takes the mom and it's, they start turning
Yeah.
on each other. It's there's
And
something-
Gorcha is still playing the father. He's still playing the
Yeah.
patriarch, ordering them about. And they know, everyone but Yegor, who won't accept it, everyone knows, no, he's a creature.
Yeah.
And we're taking his orders, but we've
Mhm.
always taken his orders.
Yeah,
And
this
now
is our
there's
life.
and now there's this danger element that I know he's going to kill us all.
Yes.
But I'm going to sit at this table. And I love when Pyotr, the younger son, clearly one of like the black sheep of the family, of the sons anyway, like when he stands up dressed like the pant, when he's killed and we get the shot of his blood hitting Stenka's face,
Mhm.
it's like amazing. It's
Yeah.
brutal. It's like a gut punch, and it's gorgeous at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this movie.
Yeah, well, just even like there's just everyone wants to be somewhere else, right? The
Mhm.
Marquis talks about how he misses the dancing and the ladies at court and all this. Svenka is like, well, I just spend a lot of time at this fucking vagabond's grave, right? Because that's where my dreams lie, right? Like he was my ticket out and it didn't work out, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of just yearning and and like the yearning and the dreaming butting hard against the reality, right?
Yeah.
Kind of in a way like this Beauty and the Beast Belle story, right?
Yes.
That you don't want to be from the small provincial town. You want to be up in the castle with the fucking beast with the library and the fancy balls and shit. There is another scene that will be the most memorable scene in this movie.
I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
I think I have questions as much as anything else. So he's given his horse and the Marquis can flee, right?
Yeah.
He comes back and he sneaks into Stenka's room. And instead of like trying to flee, she's just like, "What's up?" And he's like, "What's up?" And they start fucking, right? We see his
Mhm.
little butt cheeks.
His little butt cheeks under his nightshirt.
His little Marquis butt cheeks. Yeah, he's got like his little old fucking Ebenezer Scrooge shirt on. And they're banging. Missionary.
Mhm.
He looks over.
By candlelight.
And in a mirror, he sees these fucking Vourdalak hands. And he
Yeah.
looks down, and it's the Vourdalak underneath him. It's Gorcha.
Mm-hmm.
And he has been fucking the shit out of Gorcha, which, again, just raises so many questions, right? There's like simple anatomy questions and, how did you not feel his skeletal bones, right? Like it would feel like you're playing a xylophone as you're going up and down his body.
But
Gorcha,
if you put the whammy on you.
Yeah, Gorcha disguising himself as Sedenka, so that the Marquis will fuck him. It's very Phantasm, right? Where you're like, the Phantasm, it was always the tall man, like, why'd you let him get to second base? Like, why'd you let him feel your tits up before you turned? This is the same thing, like,
oh, yeah.
Were you going to let him fucking bust on you, Gorcha?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, if he didn't see the mirror, were you just going to, like, let him bust, smoke a cigarette, and maybe do round two? Like, when would this have stopped, Gorcha? I just had questions. I was like, that's fucking one of the wildest fucking moments.
It's wild.
Like, that's a wild fucking power play. To be like, I'm going to make you fuck my skeletal undead body. The movie then tries to make me think it was Stenka. Because when he goes back in the room and she's like, or the fucking Vourdalak's like, don't fucking hate me. I was once a person before this. I love you. And I was like, are they trying to tell me that that's Stenka that he banged? And you're like, no, that's the Vourdalak. Because no one else who turned looks like that creature. Yeah. So you're like, no, he fucked the grandpa. He fucked Gorcha for sure. Mm-hmm. And then the movie does this weird, like, what is Gorcha saying? I love you, and, like, I used to be a thing. Like, what?
Well, because I think.
Was there some kind of, like, closeted Gorcha thing that, like, we were supposed to take from this?
Well, it is interesting because and I wish I had wrote down the line exactly earlier.
Yeah.
And one of the earlier scenes, like dinner group scenes, Gorcha makes some comments about how fancy and attractive that the Marquis is. And when they're dancing,
to, like, kind of why him and Piotr don't get along.
Right.
Well, Yegor has to be this, like, alpha male dude. Yeah.
Yes. While the Marquis dancing, Gorcha says, and it's kind of, it's a little sarcastic, but maybe not.
You take it as bullying, but then you're like, but then
he says something about the Marquis. He says something about the Marquis' calves. I can see why the ladies at court would be,
If you're down to calves, that means you have checked
calves.
out the whole rest of the body and you want to fuck. If you're to the calves, that's it. It's over. Yeah, it's there. It's
the mind fuck too, right? It's the mind fuck too.
Weird fucking scene because he runs downstairs. He's like covered in blood, or he's like, oh. And he goes downstairs and he sees the whole family's in this, like, zombie dinner, right? And Yegor's like, sorry for losing my temper. Even the fucking dog with its head blown off is at the table. Everyone's there, and you're like, fuck. Except for Svenka, right? She's the only one not there. And you're like, because that's why I was also like, is she upstairs? And then we learned later she is not. It's one of those scenes where you're like, I have 55 questions now. And we're just going to, like, speed past it, right? Like, he's going to hop back on his horse and light them all on fire in their house and kill all the Vourdalak family. But I was like, I feel like we can't just, like, horse trot out of here. Like, I want... What? Like, he was fucking Grandpa hard and missionary.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
What? that okay. I'm all for this fucking European kind of, like, let's meander through the story. I need some answers. I need someone to tell me something here. If you make me watch a grandpa get banged missionary, I need answers.
The Vourdalak.
Yeah.
This Vourdalak, Gorcha.
Yeah.
He likes to play with his food.
Yeah, he was engorched when he saw the Marquis. And it was good
because as the Marquis is thrusting away,
he's
dainty chewing. Thrust. Yes.
It was like a nice, calm thrust.
Yes, gentle.
Are you saying thrusts? The sound effect they used for the chewing of the cloth matched up with the pounding? Oh!
Gorcha is chewing on his neck.
See, we learned this in thrusting. X. I think I am repulsed by the thought of old people fucking, even though I hope that I can do that someday. You stumbled on 2 movies that have put me in this fucking puzzle box.
In this puzzle box. And then I think the I love you thing, I think I read that, and I could be wrong, but I read that as, because the Vourdalak kills loved ones, family, friends, people that it's close to. It doesn't kill random people. And so the
Right.
I love
So
you,
he
I
has
think
to
is
fuck
like,
this Marquise.
you're one of my loved ones now.
I like the idea that he's got to go like be a streetwalker in town so he can get new victims.
You're one of my loved ones now. I love you.
Yeah.
And I kill the people that I love.
Yeah. Thanks for the nut. Now your
Yeah.
dinner. Unbelievable.
I
mean,
love it.
That is such a fucking curveball. And again, it's one of those where it's like thematically doesn't feel like it's offering me a lot. Like I have to really try to like figure out why I'm watching Grandpa get plowed. And then he just lays there in the bed like, because he gets staked or whatever.
Yes.
And he's just, like he's fucking got weak knees from the banging. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, he's a skeleton. He's a moving skeleton.
He should have felt
it's
that.
hard
Like,
on the joints.
The Marquis felt his own self poking his own tummy through the fucking ribs. Like, what's going on here? Like that scene, the movie was over for me at that moment. Like there was nothing else the movie could show me that I was going to pay attention to. I was so locked into that moment that you're like, the Marquis doing a fucking backflip off the mountain, not important at all. Sedenka being a fucking Vourdalak and getting a handwritten letter that she's at a new village. I can't do that journey with you. You ended the movie for me 10 minutes too early. That was it. And then the movie was done for me at that point.
I'm imagining you like watching this movie. You're like, okay, yeah, folk period piece. You're like, okay, Carmelita, whatever.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, it's cool. And I can just imagine, yes, for YouTube viewers are seeing the wide-eyed shock.
My jaw just fucking agape like, what? What? I fucking flabbergasted. I was like, what a choice.
I love it so much.
What? Maybe that shit is just too French and I'm not latching on to like the meaning.
It might be too French for you.
I need a French person to walk me through this skeleton banging. Like someone's got to fucking walk me through what's happening. But other than the movie being over and dead to me from that moment, this movie's really interesting and it has good performances. And I'll tell you this, by the end of the movie, I was liking the puppet a lot. The puppet having its little fucking legs wrapped around him though, unfucking believable, dude.
It's great.
That is fucking wild.
The attention to detail.
Yeah. The puppet grew on me though, because it is one of those, I think a lot of people are not going to suffer the puppet in this movie. It's just going to look too amateur. Even though something like that is so fucking hard to make and operate.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's one of those things that will scare off a lot of audience, right? But man, it's got some really good fucking horror moments. The kind of fucking despair and unraveling of the family. There was a lot in this movie I came to really love by the end of it.
I love the way it looks. It was shot on 16 millimeter film. It's very dreamy. It's very
dreamy. Yeah. It's very kind of hazy the whole time.
Yes.
And nothing ever feels real. And in some way, the puppet like slides right into this unreality, and it kind of works.
Yes.
But like even seeing that family at the end at the table all fucking zombified, you're like, this is a fucking brutal, mean fucking image that I'm into. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very interesting movie. I'll put it that way. That's it for the Vourdalak. We don't know, Carmelita. This may be it for you this October. Obviously, you'll be back. You always come back on the show. We love you. Yeah, who knows, man? If the guests start falling through, you'll be our first call. So
anytime, my friends.
Thank you so much for all your help this month. There are so many wonderful Carmelita episodes this month. Make sure you go back and find all of those. Make sure you find Carmelita at Carmelita Says on Letterboxd and X. You can thank us later. Make sure you go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod, guys, to support the show. Also this month, it's how you get all 31 of the episodes. That means the world to us. Please go show some love and support over there. Please go subscribe over at misfitparade.net. You can also find Misfit Parade on all the socials. Check out the movies we're doing. We got a lot of fun stuff on the horizon that we would like you guys to be a part of, man. 5-star ratings and reviews. Email filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. All the social stuff. You guys know what to do. This month, man, if you know someone who's into fucking banging grandpa vampires, send them this episode in a text, right? Let people know specifically, guys. Grassroots is the best way to grow anything, I think, man. So send some of your movie-loving friends an episode. We thank you in advance, man. Do what you can to help us out. We appreciate it. That's it. Carmelita, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, friend.